Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back. In this video, I'm working on another Project Life process video. I'm making my way through the year and trying to keep up on my promise to myself to keep up to date with this. So I am actually doing week 23 and 24 on the same week because I don't think I had a lot of pictures from the 23rd is what it was. And so I'm just combining them and it's totally fine. I'm doing it weekly. If I do it bi-weekly this month, it's not a big deal at all. I just kind of go with the flow, that's for sure. Just right here on my desk, I've got photos, and then I made this card using some of Maggie Holmes' puffy stickers. And I just can't even tell you how pleasing this is to like put this all together. So I thought that it would be fun to add it to one of the weeks. And I'm using Studio Calico's monthly Documenter monthly kit. I did kind of go through it a little bit because I'm always curious to see what they have. Like usual, they've got their big June or big month. They've got some colorful tags, which I think would be fun to use. I don't know if to add titles or journaling or what, but I think that they would be fun. Always comes with a 3x4 stamp, which is super, I feel like they're always super creative. This one is from a Creative Bubble artist, which I think is cute. That whale, isn't that whale so cute? Then we've got some alphas. That might be the color theory. I think they try and do like a color theory thing every time. We've got some word phrase stickers in a bright yellow. And we've got some fun. I mean, this is just a fun, bright summer collection or kit. And here's the cards. And I'll go through the cards as we go along, but I don't want to take too much of your time, which is kind of funny. This is totally muted, but I think it will work because it's got some pinks and yellows, even though they're not the same brightness. Yeah, so let's just get going. All right, you guys, so I'm going to start with cutting up my photos. And I've had people ask me, how I do this. And I do have a video showing how I print out two photos side by side. So I'm saving a lot of photo paper and I really, really enjoy that. I just do it in Lightroom. I will have that video linked below and in the cards. And you can see that there's about 3 photos that I will trim out separately. They just didn't work for the 3x4 size. And so I decided to trim them out and just make them a square. This photo I'm working on right now, I actually was thinking that I wanted a white border on that. And, I really love this small trimmer from Tonic. I think it's awesome and trims so well and so cleanly. The one thing that I think is really hard with it is sometimes you don't always know. You can see the edge, so you know exactly where it's going to cut. But when you're trying to do a border, sometimes it's hard to tell exactly how thick the border is going to be. So that's really my only beef about it. But other than that, I really love that trimmer. So if you guys are looking for a small trimmer, something that you could maybe carry around easier, I would totally recommend that one for you. All right, so now I'm going through some of the cards and putting them down, figuring out, where I want them to go. A couple things that I think about, and I know that I've shared with you guys before, but a couple things that cross my mind is separating color, right? So I don't want to have too much of one color in one place unless that's what I'm going for. Which I have done that before in a spread, having one side a little bit more yellow and one side a little bit more, was it green or blue or orange? I can't remember now. But I remember doing that just recently. Another thing that I'm thinking about is having, photos on top of photos or cards on top of cards. So one of my big issues when I was working through this, you can see that I'm struggling choosing the cards, is the sticker card that I made that I showed you earlier and the alpha card were on top of each other and they both seemed really busy and I didn't want 2 really busy cards on top of one another. So that's why I was trying to figure out where else could I put it, or maybe I, don't put it in this set. In this spread. So, it was just really trying to figure out the right kind of balance. And that's really what I'm going for as I'm looking through the cards and placing my photos and doing my embellishments. It's really, trying to look for a balance, something pleasing in the spread. So that's kind of why I've been going back and forth. And you'll see that I do end up landing on the right card that I think is really great. It's kind of hard to see, but the green card that I end up choosing is the same color that is in the type that's right next to it. So the card that says Summer Bucket List, that's next to the alpha card. It's very hard to see, but it is the same color blue. And so I thought they, of course, went really great next to one another. I do like to have a darker or a colored card next to a white card or next to text. I'd like to split up the text just so not one area is very text heavy. Sometimes it's hard to get away from that, or sometimes it's hard to make that work out. But for the most part, that's kind of what's going through my mind as I'm working through this. So I decided that I did want to use these labels, and I was just trying to play around with them, pulled them all out. I thought it was so beautiful how they had like this array of colors. I like that they had, different oranges, different yellows, different greens, different blues, just to give you an option. And they coordinated and went so beautifully with the cards. And so that's ultimately what I decided to do with this spread, is to go monochromatic. So I decided, you can see I'm working on that kind of yellow orange color. They have the label that matches, and I thought, I will include the label that matches with the color. And I do that same thing with some of the embellishments, some of the chipboard. So you'll see that coming up as I continue to work through this spread, is I'm trying to find like colors. So for instance, this chipboard right here, I can't remember what it said. I think it says Good Times or something like that. And I added it onto that photo of myself. Right now I'm trying to think about what it would be like to stack the embellishments. I've seen a lot of cute people stack these labels, or stack labels in general. For whatever reason, I wasn't really loving it. It probably had more to do with the alpha card than anything else, which is what you'll see that I end up swapping that out. So there's that kind of mint color. It does have polka dots on there. Actually, the other cards have polka dots on them as well, like the coral that is that cartoon of me. And then at the top right, that's also like a pink with little polka dots. And they are also monochromatic, which is one of the reasons why I decided to go with that theme. It just worked out really well with this kit. You can see that I'm putting down a green embellishment on top of that green card. So I just really love how that worked. And I did end up trimming off the white. For some reason, it was just standing out a little too much. Plus, I wanted there to be a little bit more of space between the edge and the photo. So I do apologize that some of that trimming got done off screen. So let's see. So yeah, I'm just like playing around with more of the tags, seeing where I can put them. You can see that I'm kind of looking at the title card in the upper left, trying to see how I want that to go, playing around. I really actually love that periwinkle color a lot. I wish that, I don't know if they had a card that had that color in it, but I really do love that color a lot. And it's funny, you can see that I've already like switched out that mint colored card, went back to the alpha, but I do eventually go back to that mint color card. So one thing that you can't see is the title card. It's not white. It's actually, it is white, but it has a very faint mint colored dot, just like the other ones that I was describing, the pink and the coral. And so it's really hard to see in the video. It's kind of getting washed out, but I was going to say you'll be able to see it in the photos, but you know what? I actually end up changing that card, and you'll see why in just a minute. But it is the exact same color as that label, the dots are, which is why I decided to choose that label, just again, going along that same monochromatic theme. So you can see that I brought back that mint card, and then I swapped places. I think I just wanted my eye to have more of a rest, not to have both of those bold colors, the yes card and then the mint color card, together. So I put the white in between. Let's see, the chipboard that says totally awesome that I just put on that sunset photo. I thought it actually went really well because that coral color is in that photo. So again, I felt like I was going along the same monochromatic theme. And then just adding a few more embellishments on top of that as well. And now you can see that I'm adhering the label down. I actually really loved the way this looked, but then I ended up messing it up because I'm not an awesome stamper. You know what? I wouldn't say that I'm a bad stamper. I don't know that there is such a thing as a bad stamper, but I think I have a hard time collaging, which is such a bummer because I really love to puzzle. And, but hold on, I want to stop right there before I move on and just want to say, I'm sorry for that abrupt cut. My video ran out. I ran out of space. And so it cut, and I didn't realize that until I was already working on the journaling, but you didn't really miss anything. Just me moving the title card out of the way. All right. Going back to what I was saying, I really love putting puzzles together, which is why I'm such a big fan of stickering, which by the way, I will have I can't decide if I'll have another stickering video before or after this, but I do have another stickering video that's going to be coming out. And I just feel like it's a puzzle, putting it together. And that's what I attempted to do with this card. And it just did not work out. I think maybe it was all black and it was so hard to read the dates and I just didn't like it. So anyway, I'm not going to give up on trying to collage with stamping, but it did not work out for me this time. So anyways, just working through all of the journaling with this spread, just telling little micro stories. I have to say it was one of those weeks that not a lot of stuff was going on. I did a lot of work. I felt like there was a lot of computer time, but there was definitely those little stories in there, those little moments, like that little baby that is my niece's new son. And I'm trying to decide, is he like a grand nephew? Like, I'm not really sure how that works, but I mean, little things like that come up in your day that is just like little stories that you want to be able to tell and that you want to remember from your week, but not necessarily do you want to dedicate an entire scrapbook page, which is why I keep coming back again and again to Project Life, because it allows me to tell these little micro stories from the week. And I just absolutely love that. I love giving that overview of life. It's, like I said, it's why I keep coming back again and again to this project. All right, so I'm just sticking the 3x4 cards together that are in the 4x6 spots. And now I'm working on this title card. And you'll see that it starts out okay. And I should have just left it here. I should have just left it, but for whatever reason, I was just feeling like it really needed something more. And I saw the stamps and I was like, okay, maybe I should just do a little bit of stamping. And instead of doing one, I decided to do a whole bunch of stamping, and you'll see. And I do apologize that my head is getting in the way here. I guess when you're stamping, you just need to get up on top of the image. And so my head keeps getting in the way, and you'll see that coming up, and I do apologize, but I think I end up leaving it in there just because it was kind of obnoxious to keep like editing my head out. It just would have been really strange on the video. So I left it in. And I wanted to exclude this because for me, it's very painful to like watch like, oh, this looks awful. But you know what? I want you to know that you can make things that you don't love. And what's interesting is you can make things that you don't love, but that other people might like. And that's totally fine. You get to decide what works for you, and you get to decide what you use and what you don't use. And I just want to encourage you guys to play. So this is me just playing. And unfortunately, I should have just played on a scrap piece of paper, but I didn't. I did it on the page that I wanted to use. And watching this, I did say it was a little bit painful, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And I've definitely made worse stuff. It just wasn't my favorite, and it wasn't what I wanted to have in my album. So I do end up doing something different. But all this to say is just really an encouragement to try things. Because if it doesn't work out, what is the worst? Well, I really liked that card and now I don't get to use that card again, and that's okay. And you know what? I actually did have another side to this card because it was a 4x6 card that came in the kit that I cut in half, but I couldn't find the other half of it. So anyway, I ended up doing something totally different, which I have to admit, you guys, I don't know that I loved what I did in the end, but it's one of those things that it's like, it's good, right? It's like 1 week out of the album. It's not going to make it or break it. So anyway, like I said, there you go. That's what it looks like when it's done. And ultimately, I think my biggest issue with it is I just couldn't even find the date. And it just looked like a bunch of stamps. And so that is what I wanted to change, is that I really wanted there to be focus on the date, because that's really what a title card is for me, is the date. So I do end up changing that. All right. That was a very long-winded way of saying I changed it, and make sure you play. I mean, this is really, I feel like this whole process of creating and scrapbooking and doing memory keeping is really, you know, it's great to do the documenting, and I absolutely love to do the documentation part of it and having that in the end. But it is a matter of play. Like, this is fun. If I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be doing it. And it's fun for me to be creative. It's fun for me to tap into that part of my brain. I really enjoy that. So it's okay if some of those ideas that I have don't work out, you know? And I think sometimes that can frustrate us or even embarrass us. But I think totally embrace it and learn from it. You know, and what I learned from this experience is I want to do more stamping, and I want to try out more things to see how I can get it so that I actually really like it, you know, because I'm sure there's a way I could have done this, maybe just with one stamp or something, or I could have gotten it to a place that I really liked it. So anyway, it's all fun, my friends. This is all fun. The best part is, though, when you make a mistake or you do something you don't like, you don't always have to share that with people, but I'm choosing to share it with you just so, you know, if you're out there and you've made I don't want to say made a mistake. If you've done or created something you don't like, that you know that you're not alone. I guarantee all of us out there, all creators out there, have written something they don't like, have created something they don't like, have painted something that they don't like. All kinds of things. So we are all in this together, right? All right. So this is the title card that I ended up going with. And you saw that I cut out that 4x6 card. I wish I had thought about it before I cut it and kind of centered it up a little bit, because there's more white on the left-hand side, but it's fine. I would have chosen to do it a little bit differently if I had been thinking, but I wasn't really thinking. At this point, I just, you know, kind of wanted to get it done because I was so frustrated that I had messed up the other one. And the last thing that I'm going to do, I'm just about done, is I decided to add the dates onto those labels. So the labels weren't lonely and they did have something on top of them. So you guys, that is it for this spread. Hopefully you were able to get some inspiration while using Studio Calico's kit. If nothing else, to remember that play is a huge part of the creative process, and sometimes it works out for us and sometimes it doesn't, and it's all okay in the end. Just keep going. And I have to say, in the end, I really love how this turned out, and I really love that monochromatic theme that I had in all of the fun summer colors in this kit. All right, you guys, thank you again for being here. And if you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel when you give me a like. So thank you again, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.